What's up, everybody? We are live right now on Twitter, Rokfin, Facebook, and YouTube. I wanted to get some shout outs done for the last 5 minutes before we get started. Shout out to everybody. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all share this video. We're going to have a good time today. We're going to have a good time. Who we got in the chat? A dingo ate me, baby. What's good? What's good? We are live. Like and share the video. What's going on, people? What's going on? I know this is a little late for me to be streaming. I know my bedtime a little earlier than y'all's. I can't concentrate after like 4 or 5. But this coffee gonna keep me in the game today. We had to talk about this. It's Biden's 1 year anniversary, and you know he wasn't gonna just let him slide. Come on, what I look like? Marty Castle, Happy New Year. Happy to see you still banging on the door. Absolutely, man. I'm not going anywhere. Had to take a little hiatus. Life is crazy, but other than that, you know, we're back. We're back. We're here. Still getting on the establishment's nerves. We ain't going nowhere anytime soon. We just doubling down, baby. We just doubling down. If y'all would like and share this video, I greatly appreciate it. Who else we got? Chatty, what's going on? Sorry, I'm trying to share it too. Let's say we're live right now on Twitter, Facebook, Rokfin. Twitter, Facebook, Rokfin. Twitter, Facebook, Rokfin. YouTube. Ha! And I don't like YouTube, so. Deanne Conklin, what's going on? Popeye Sailor. 3 more years of this crappy admin. I feel you, but we gonna get through it together, yeah. At least we gonna try. Nah, we gonna be all right, man. Because one thing that I've observed throughout this last year of his administration is how willing people have been, and maybe just because of the desperation of the times, but how willing the people have been to just look out for each other and minimize reliability on the federal government as much as humanly possible, because we kind of know now we just can't count on them, right? So I think that that's been huge for everybody, as a country. And I think it says a lot about, as the government tends to, as the federal government tends to regress in its efficacy, we as a people, and this is just what history shows us, we as a people become more self-sufficient. And that's actually why you'll have the government obviously constantly convincing you that they're doing a better job than they're actually doing, so that you'll be more willing to acquiesce to what they feel is best, so that you don't become self-sufficient. That's why you also see a lot of almost either outlawing self-sufficiency in some ways, or deterring it by basically people who are self-sufficient, individualistic, or living off the grid or whatever. They get lambasted by the establishment for deciding to take care of themselves. Fiorella actually had this brilliant, she did some great work yesterday on that particular topic regarding the World Economic Forum that y'all should go check out. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go check it out. Bethlehem. Shout out to our Rokfin peeps. Bethlehem's on Rokfin right now. I know we got some Facebook peeps out there. Who we got on Facebook right now? We got about 1 more minute, by the way. We'll get started. Facebook randomly allowed me to be part of, what do they got? Facebook Watch. They have been denying me access to Facebook Watch for like 2 years now. I guess because I'm verified there now, they allow me to have access to it. I don't know. But I'm on there. So y'all make sure to find. Oh, are we in sync? I hope everything is in sync. I know we've been having some sound issues for whatever reason. Hopefully I resolved it. But yeah. Got a few people on Facebook watching. Dunlap, what's going on? Great Goblin, not to be confused with the Green Goblin. What's going on? Oh, there we go. All right, man. Facebook is just like YouTube. I would say Facebook in a lot of ways is worse than YouTube. The amount of suppression. I mean, Facebook, so for me, I haven't been banned as much on Facebook as I've been censored on Facebook. Where like so for example, they force people to unlike my page on a daily basis. So like I can get like 30 or 40 people to like it, but then, or follow it, but then like 38 of them will be forcibly unfollowed. You want to know how I know that, other than the analytics themselves? Because yesterday I actually had to like go from my personal page to re-like my public figure page, because I apparently decided, I guess some time ago, that I didn't like myself, so I unliked and unfollowed my personal public figure page. Yeah, because that makes all the sense in the world, right? So they make it so that, and there's also a profit motive in that, of course. They make it so that if you're in between a certain amount of followers on Facebook, that you basically have to pay to be promoted, to be seen. That's what that's about. So, yeah, man. Oh, let me move my fan a little bit closer. Cause you know I live in Miami. You know I live in South Florida, so it gets a little bit hot. All right, people. Y'all ready to get this show on the road? Like this video, share this video. Let's get it poppin'. What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukatsu. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. We have a pretty fun show for you today. As many of you may know, if you don't, now you know, it is officially Biden's 1 year, 365-day rotation as being president of the United States. And if I am not mistaken, just so we can clarify, I think it was him who said this. You can't keep blaming old presidents for problems that happened during your administration. And Biden, ironically enough, for him saying that, will be the epitome of this as we delve deeper into how he's handled the country, not only at home, but its affairs abroad throughout this live stream. So, I did a couple things this morning in preparation for this, outside of the research, of course. I went on IG. I did a reel on Instagram where you can follow me on Instagram at the Real Niko. Real Niko House is my ad on Instagram. Niko with a K, not a C. Just be clear about that. But I did a reel and asked people to rate Biden on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, of course, and 1 being the worst. And I said I was going to read out some of their comments, which I think would be helpful because it actually, some things that I didn't even think a lot of people were at least that concerned about openly, like maybe if they were a single issue voter, that wouldn't be the issue. But turns out in some people's cases, these issues were very important, and these issues were the reasons why they voted for Biden. So we're going to take a look at some of those comments. And shout out to all the people, by the way, who were gracious enough to, to be honest and open about your opinion on Biden there. And we also did a poll on Twitter that went exactly as you probably expected to go. But first, let's go ahead and check out this Instagram. Y'all need to listen to all that. So, some of these comments. Oof. He _@_her, Heather 11 said, is there an NA or 0 option? I'll pick that. Otherwise, -1 or 1, I guess. Jen, what's good, Jen? Negative. I don't even know what that would be, so I'm just gonna read out the 384-737-291-737-3828-2822. It's a rather cathartic number. I don't know why reading that out loud felt so good, but it was 1 through 10, Jen. But it's okay. I'm gonna let you get away with it since you're the homie. She says the entire campaign was a pandering fiesta, seated in empty promises he knew he was never going to fulfill because he is too concerned with partisanship. He knew he would never win without black and progressive votes, but his lack of action and inability to wield whatever executive power he has to get shit done is a slap in the face, keeping friends on the other side of the aisle when they themselves have no intentions of bipartisanship. Say it. Stupid, delusional, and I'm so sick of folks defending his and the Democratic Party's bullshit. Well, Jennifer, tell them how you really feel. Oof. Michael Caine, for some of you may be familiar with him from the Caine versus de Blasio case, where he's trying to protect teachers' rights to exercise religious freedoms regarding the jab mandates. He's also a member of Children's Health Defense now, and helping putting together that event on January 23rd in D.C. with RFK Jr. and Dr. Malone and McAuliffe and all those guys. He said 0. Absolutely 0. Senator Jackman. Man, shout out to the Jackman twins. They're dope as hell. Go check them out on IG if you have not. Check out their podcast. He gets a 1 for leaving. I'm assuming he means for the way he left Afghanistan. Other than that, Brandon. Oh, he gets a 1 for leaving. Okay, I get what you're saying. Like he actually left, I guess. In at least in an official capacity. Other than that, Brandon's regime is hot garbage. That's facts. And we're going to talk about Afghanistan, by the way. That was one of the things that I definitely wanted to bring up as one of his first major blunders. Kristen L. Goff. And like I said, the reason we're reading a lot of these is because I actually will be addressing them too. So 0, because he ran on promise of student debt cancellation and nothing has been done. Ooh, glad you brought that up, Kristen. That's an important one. Because if y'all don't mind me saying, niggas is broke and tired. People can't buy houses. They can't spend their money that they should be making, or at least should be able to spend, because they're paying back student debt, trying to save their credit so that they can eventually spend that money and get loans from the good credit that they actually, for a loan they can't actually afford because they're paying back student debt. So you see how that's a slippery slope? You see that's a problem? You have to pay back your student loans to protect your credit. You can't afford to take out a loan and pay on it because you're paying back your student loans. And interest rates are ridiculous now. So there's that, and the housing market is inflated. Oh, don't worry, we're gonna talk about that too. Oh, Brianna said 2 out of 10 for pretending to try. Is he really though? Is he really pretending to try? I don't know about that. Steven said, I can't give anybody points for pretending, aka lying about it. She's like, actually, you're right. 2 might be too lenient. She's like, she was easily swayed on that one. Brandon, what's going on? He gets a 10 for single-handedly showing that you don't need to be remotely popular to win the White House, and for proving that the nation can run without a president. Can it run though? I don't know about that one. I'm not saying that he makes the job easier per se. I'm not saying that, but I think that it might be a little bit hyperbolic to say the nation can run, because right now it looks like the nation is crawling barely, because we have like no leadership willing to step up, and anyone who is willing to step up gets shitted on effectively or gets stifled by the establishment. So, Mikhail, I felt that Biden would be the unifying factor for the American people. I voted for him, and I'm sorry I did. I was against both, clearly, but was way more for Biden than I was for Trump. But as I progressed into the second decade of the 2000s, I realized my vote was rooted in lies that were spread by mainstream media. Not only that, but I can clearly see the lies he said to get elected. I just pray nothing serious happens in this country in the next couple of years. Man, shoot, millions of people going homeless is something I would consider to be pretty serious. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I appreciate you being open and honest about that. And and by the way, people, that's not an easy thing to do. Somebody look, somebody said something similar. Lane W. York Kenice, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry if I butchered your I came to comment something similar, but this is so eloquent, I wanted to second your stance. It takes a lot for people to be humble enough to admit when they were wrong about something politically. I would say that the majority of the issues in this country persist, specifically because people are so, they're just so driven by ego and not wanting to be wrong and not wanting to admit that they're wrong because they feel like it would be somehow a reflection on their intellect, that they won't just say, hey man, I messed up, but I'm going to learn from my mistake and make sure it doesn't happen in the future, because it happens to the best of us. Like he said, mainstream media were lying for him. They were, and we're all subject to the same propaganda, bro. All of us. All of us. I don't give a damn who you are. We grow out of that propaganda based off of what we're exposed to over time, which is so great that y'all watch independent media and tune into this show. But how can people do better if they literally don't know better because they're being force fed and they don't know where else to go? Because now, as you can see, the propaganda is spread from mainstream media into many sects of independent media. Now we're finding out, thanks to the Gray Zone and that leak document, that even BreadTube, quote unquote philosophy tube, people like Vaush and Destiny and a lot of these cats, some of them are getting funding from the intelligence community to spread propaganda. So it's hard to know where to go unless you just come across, which is even harder to do nowadays because of the manipulation of the algorithms to prevent independent journalists from being seen without spending an absorbent amount of money, which you can only get a lot of times by selling out. So it's nothing to be ashamed of that you were propagandized. It happens to the best of us. So shout out to Mikhail and Miss Lane over here for being humble enough to admit that they voted for him and were deceived. Joji Mark said Juan. I'm assuming that's one. Nicole Lee said his incompetence is hurting average Americans. No one can afford shit mandates. People are getting fired because he's letting corporations run rampant. Big old facts. J Love JPEG -20. Starting with the dementia and incompetency of leadership role, Minus 100 points, withdrawing from Afghanistan in the manner he did, allowing the country to reign in terrorism and oppression, and leaving billions of American weapons in the hands of terrorists who wanted to kill us. Well, I would say that the Taliban doesn't necessarily want to kill us because they've been working for us for quite a long time, to be completely honest with you. We gotta remember, we weren't there to get the Taliban. We were actually there to supposedly get Al-Qaeda, and we were actually working with the Taliban in a lot of cases to do so. Even though Al-Qaeda is actually they were only thriving because we created them too. So, whole different conversation we'll talk about in a second. Minus 100 points for divisive, manipulative, and extremist content of pushing a narrative far from factual truth. Minus 100 for authoritarian fascist ideologies, speech, and leadership. True. Minus 100 for adhering, enforcing, and mandating a medical choice upon free people. Minus 200, the persistence that domestic terrorism is why we need to rework the Second Amendment. It's hard to disagree with any of that, honestly. It really is. And you get to like. Tosh said minus 10. Somebody, is there an option for 0 negative numbers? Well, there wasn't an option for 0 negative numbers, but clearly people have taken it upon themselves to invent numbers, which I'm all about freedom of expression. So do your thing. Love Den Flynn. Unless there's an option for 0, he's consistently lied about his rationale for mandates, which are unethical, even if they were based on sound science. And he lied about student loan debt relief. His foreign policy is just as cruel, ruthless, and imperialistic as they were when he was VP, and as all the previous several administrations. And it's really gross to watch him and his administration pretend to care about racial justice with all of this and more in mind. Man, very well said. Very well said. That's top 2 comments for me so far. Los, shout out to Los. The regime gets a 1 for being corrupt and tyrannical and incompetent. It's a pretty concise way of saying what everybody else said. Curtis Smith, hard 1. Joe Biden is so dumb he thinks that all the people who have been calling him illegitimate are telling him that he can't read. Oh shit. That's actually pretty funny. He said, come on, man. Why the hell would I need a reading test? Lady Mendoza, minus 10, and don't feel bad about it. Low, baby Jesus. Now, I need y'all to know something about my IG. I'm not super popular, but I have about 8,058 followers. Give or take. And by give or take, I mean, IG belonging to Facebook might take some on any given day. But my follower count, just like on all platforms that I belong to, is a very diverse group of followers. As you can see, I have people who voted for Biden, right? I have people who voted for Biden. I have Republicans. I have like hardcore leftists or like anarcho-communists. I mean, everything you could think of. People who don't even follow politics really all that much unless they're watching this show. Out of 8,000 people, not one person had a single nice thing to say about this administration. Oh, excuse me. I guess Mr. Jackman said, he pulled out of Afghanistan, which I felt like was in the plans anyway. But granted, the pullout was so damn bad that you're like, And then of course we know that he's sending private troops from the private security industry there, so it really didn't really change all that much. And he left a bunch of weapons there, $18 billion worth of weapons there. So, but basically nobody said anything nice, bro. 8,000. And I mean that they don't even poll that many damn people when they're doing these polls half the time. And we're gonna talk about his low approval rating. And so that's just one example. I want to go ahead and check out what they had to say on Twitter. Let's see what they had to say on Twitter, in the twits world. Oh, Lord, baby Jesus, this might be even worse. So we asked people, how do you feel? How do you feel Biden has done after he's had 1 full year in the White House? Great job, decent job, horrible job. For great job, 1.4%. For decent job, 2.8%. Horrible job, 95.8 or 96%. Out of 720 voters, and mind you, this poll is only like 3 hours. No, 4 hours, maybe. Oh. And it don't look like it's getting any better for him. Yeah. That's saying something. Let's look at some of these comments. It's Democrats at all levels. People need to stop supporting their fairy tales, stop voting for their DAs, mayors, representatives, no matter how much they say they are for you. They're violently taking what you have to benefit their insane criminal donors. I'm a little disappointed that hot booty juice isn't an option, but I rock with your tweet, so I'll vote anyway. I feel like this one will actually count. Oh, I see what you did right there. You said we'll vote anyway. They feel like this vote will actually count. You get it? Huh? If you don't get it, you gotta catch up, man. I can't tell you because I don't want YouTube to ban me. James said I can't not be sarcastic, so I'm just going to not vote. Chapter 40. Is Biden even doing anything? That's a very damn good question. Elevation Allah. Who said great job or decent job? Bruh. If absolutely horrendous was a fourth option, I would pick it. Wish you would have added no job absentee because that's the correct choice. Yo, y'all roasting this guy right now. Yep. He did exactly as directed. Very true. He did tell the sheeple nothing will change. That is also very true. He says he's doing a great job and that all the polls are wrong. He actually said that this morning in the press conference. Saying, I ain't worried about them polls, man. I'm doing a great job. According to who? And by what metric? The economy? Hope that ain't it. Gas price? That ain't it. Keeping any promise whatsoever? That ain't it. COVID? That ain't it. Foreign policy? That ain't it. Waking up and uttering comprehensible, like, words? Nope, he ain't even doing that. Gary Floyd, horrible job, but it might be my fault for not voting harder. See what you did right there. Somebody said you weren't loyal enough. Colin Borensenko, poll complete, 1 vote, horrible job. Yo. Man. More. There are more? Voting great job. He's effectively doing the bidding of the establishment. Nothing has fundamentally changed. Subjugated Americans while transferring more wealth to the 1%. Oh, I think you meant for subjugated Americans. While transferring more wealth to the 1%. And putting the socialist left in its place. That's a fact. Seems like he's doing exactly what he's there to do. Believe Christian is saying his administration is a train wreck. Mr. Hodler said horrible. As predicted, worse than Trump. Yes, that was predicted by me and the rest of us here at the MCSC network. And not for nothing, but we had plenty of facts to prove like what was going to happen, and everybody said we were right-wing fascists because we were like, I mean, if you want to, because they always talk about, you know, these fake leftists, or these neo progressives. Was it boutique leftists, whatever you want to call them? They always like to talk about harm reduction, and we were like, well, if that's the argument you're going to make, that's a horrible argument to make, because Biden is 47 years of ain't no way in hell the harm's going to be reduced by putting him in power. And everybody was just like, oh my God, you must be Nazi collaborators. And then we turned out to be right, and now everybody's like, man, I can't believe Biden's doing this badly. If only someone could have seen this coming. Shadow Ban Refugee, what's good, Shadow Ban? To be quite clear, the executive branch, including the president and his secretary lackeys, can't help but do a terrible job, always, because it's a central power. Abolish the executive branch and all the rest. I mean, when continuing his record, he's been decent. But for the non-corporate people, it's horrible. Oh, I'm glad that was that kind of had me a little bit worried there. Like his record promised. Doesn't like 40% of Americans think Biden's done a good job, or at least a job they approve of. Do these poll results concern you? You're not missing out on a large audience market opportunity. Oh, trust me, it ain't. We know. We know about the audience market opportunity. The problem is we can't be seen without spending a lot of money to be seen. So the more people subscribe to our Rokfin channel, the more y'all donate on Patreon. You can find that on Linktree. That's all stuff like once we get 400 subscribers on Rokfin, that's whenever we'll be doing. I'm going to be doing personally many more paid promotions because the election is coming up, and I agree that there is a huge audience market opportunity. More importantly, there's an opportunity to inject sanity into this goddamn country because clearly somebody needs to do it. That isn't partisan. And has really cool hair and a lot of tattoos. And dresses pretty well too. Anyway, great job for the parasitic predator class. Horrible job for the peasants. That's what the presidents are for. We are just dumb enough to keep letting them. Yeah, sad but true. Sad but true. So, as you can see, a lot of people have a lot of issues with Biden. And once again, no one could even... I have nearly 50,000 Twitter followers. No one even came to this man's defense. What if they like, man, you know, it's been a bad presidency, but like, what about? That's usually what happens, right? Right? Even whenever I've like engaged with Trump supporters, for example, they can be like, yeah, man, I kind of like literally had a whole conversation with this Trump supporting couple at Politicon in 2019. They were like, oh, we have a lot of issues with a lot of things he does. We just think that he's a better option. We were NAFTA voters because they were from Indiana, and NAFTA destroyed their entire, like, their family's success, basically, their security. And they were like, yeah, but we disagree with a lot of them. Sometimes we just wish he would shut the hell up and just like not step on his own toes. I'm like, wow, that's the most reasonable thing I've heard from anybody that's like loyal to a person, except for maybe Tulsa supporters. That's about it. and so what you've seen though with Biden is that those who are in his camp seem to only be in his camp because he's not Trump and he's a Democrat. He's not a Republican. But everybody else with any common sense are like, no. And even the polls lately, like what was mentioned, seem to be reflective of this fact. So, RT, if you don't follow RT's Telegram, I strongly suggest you do so. I don't know how well y'all can see this. Pull it up for you guys. Biden's approval numbers. This is from a AP poll, January 13th through 18th. Economy, 37% approve, 62% disapprove. COVID, 45% approve, 54% disapprove. Foreign policy, 42% approve, 56% disapprove. By the way, I know. I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence, but like 98%, I mean, I guess that you can say that about all issues, but definitely foreign policy. 98%, 99% of this country is totally unqualified to be given like a random poll about whether or not they like what Biden is doing with foreign policy. They literally like don't know anything about foreign policy. Ask them like who the president of Brazil or like there are a lot, like, so for example, like remember during the Cuba Libre bullshit, and people genuinely still believe that a Castro was president of Cuba, like, you shouldn't be able to vote in a foreign policy poll if you don't even know who the president of your enemy nations are or adversarial nations are. Right? So there's that. But they know enough to know that 56% of them disapprove of his foreign policy. And healthcare, 43%, 55%. See, also, that just goes to show you how, let's just say uneducated. Let's just call it uneducated. It lets you know how uneducated a lot of Americans are when it comes to these issues. Because how the hell, please, ladies and gentlemen, explain this to me. How the hell can you have a 44% approval rating of healthcare when not only has he not kept his promise about anything regarding healthcare, he said he was even going to try to marginally, he was like talking about a public option basically. He hasn't even tried, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. He hasn't even tried. Across the board, healthcare premiums and deductibles and prescription costs have all gone up. In what world could you possibly look at your bill from anything you got to do with healthcare and be like, man, yep, things are definitely better? Because effectively, if you are saying that you approve of what Biden has done as far as healthcare is concerned, or has not done, then what you're actually saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that you actually support what Trump did. Because he hasn't changed anything. He hasn't even brought back the tax mandate, where you get the penalty if you don't get health care that Trump got rid of, which actually was probably the best thing that he did for health care. Oh, actually, and Trump was the one who he did engage in I think he pushed a bill or passed a bill, helped to pass a bill that lowered prescription drug prices, at least temporarily, because it seems like they've gone back up. But he lowered prescription drug prices by allowing importing of those same drugs from other countries like Canada. So, like, if there is any positive, it didn't come from Biden. It actually came from Trump, if we're being objective. So how the hell could you possibly think that he got anything, like, that he did anything worth your approval? People get these phone calls, they don't want to look stupid, and they just vote for everything. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's like there's usually not an option for, I don't know, maybe, I'm not really educated on that issue. It is, go down the list. David Carlton, thank you very much for the tip on Rokfin. Much appreciated. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and Rokfin. So, but I mean, the moral of the story is, it isn't just like people on Twitter, people on my Instagram, on YouTube, whatever, that feel like Biden has done a bad job. So I think that it's time we look at the job Biden has done to figure out if we can square this circle. So I think the first thing we should look at, because this is an issue we're all dealing with on a daily basis. I actually use premium gas, so Lord baby Jesus. I'm back at hey man, everybody, I don't know where everybody's background from, but everybody from my background, y'all know, when gas gets a certain price, people, gas hits that price, that's cool. We're just doing $20 fill. $20. Well, what if you $20? What if you gotta go? $20. $20. Once it gets up about depending on the vehicle you drive, but once it gets above $325, $330, even, I might push it to $340. No. Once you get above that, $20. $20 and I'm walking. But for premium in Miami, it's $3.79 right now. The gas prices on average across the country have gotten above $3 for unleaded. Like, bro. Now, As a matter of fact, I believe we actually have some statistics and data to support this. Let me pull it up for you guys. Today in energy. EIA.gov. You gotta love the .gov website. You gotta love going to the government's website to show you how trash the government has been on any given issue. So it says retail gasoline prices rose across the United States in 2021 as driving increased. Interesting. Rising crude oil prices and increased gasoline demand contributed to the average U.S. retail price for regular grade gasoline increasing to $3.01 per gallon in 2021, the highest average nominal price since 2014. Damn. It does make you think that maybe presidency does have something to do with it. I'll explain to you how I know that's the case in a second. The average price for retail gasoline increased by more than $1 per gallon between the start and the end of 2021. Hold up. Now, if my math serves me correct, now y'all know I'm not a math scientist, okay? But if my math serves me correctly, isn't that almost the exact amount of time that Biden has been the president? And once again, if my math serves me correctly, it went up the most under Biden in the year that Biden has been president, but we started going back to work when Trump was still in office. So you telling me Biden has nothing to do with this? No control over this? Oh, no. Because the states that were open under Trump. The states that have limited lockdowns or mandates or lockdowns still were like New York and LA or California. They're still in that same status. In fact, some of them temporarily loosened under Trump. I think California did, not New York, but some of them temporarily loosened up under Trump, and gas prices didn't soar that much, although they were increasing. I was still, it was like 260, 270. Okay. Now this is the claim, right? This is the claim. U.S. gasoline prices vary regionally, reflecting local supply and demand conditions and differences in state fuel specifications and taxes. The retail price for regular grade gasoline in 2021 averaged from a low of $2.67 per gallon on the Gulf Coast to a high of $3.70 on the West Coast. There was $4 per gallon. Hold up, I feel like that might be off. Cause am I crazy, West Coast? But I went to California and like y'all had $4 or $5 gas, if I'm not mistaken. I guess maybe because of the average. Cause I about to say it was like a long time where y'all had like $4 or $5 gas. From January 4th, 2021 to December 27th, my birthday, 2021, retail gasoline prices increased 88 cents. In the Midwest, $1.20 in the Rocky Mountains, and $1.32 on the West Coast. So I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of that is some hot bullshit. I don't know where else. So let me tell you, because that's what they're claiming. That's what that is. It's EIA.gov. So the Energy Information Administration website. Okay. See, but Biden said, when he got, sometimes people try to hold him accountable and Biden don't know how to act. So Biden actually said that he blamed OPEC, according to CNN. He blamed OPEC. That's what he said. This is an article. It says, here's what Biden can actually do about gas prices. I'm not listening to you. Biden blames OPEC. It don't seem like he's blaming demand. It don't seem like he's blaming supply. He better not, and I'm gonna explain why. He's blaming another, like a company ran by a group of countries For his part, Biden has blamed the refusal of Russia or the OPEC nations to pump more oil. Huh? First of all, the United States spent a considerable amount of effort and resources making sure Russia can't pump more oil. That's a lie. Also, the refusal to pump more oil, you know what? I got something for that. It says, as a reason for high gas prices. We'll see what happens on that score sooner or later. He said during a news conference in Scotland last week. Unfortunately for Biden, what happened was the oil cartel. What? Unfortunately for Biden, what happened was the oil cartel and its partners declined to take up his demand that they increase supply. What? At last week's G20, it's a summit, Biden had made a specific attempt to lobby those countries to increase output. Now, you want to know what the problem with that is? Who is the number one exporter of oil? It looks like it's changed a little bit. But 32% comes from Saudi Arabia. Oh, we're number 4 in the world. Wow. And one of the other countries we actually have complete control over. Okay. Where does the majority of U.S. crude oil come from? %40 of the U.S. needs for oil are met at home. Most of the imports currently come from 5 countries. Canada, one of our partners. Saudi Arabia, also another one of our allies. Mexico, Venezuela, which that's 2012. That's wrong. Oh, no, that's off. My bad. There we go. Let me see. I like doing this type of research with you guys. I mean, I know what the answer is, but I want you all to see what questions you should be asking. U.S. petroleum imports rose sharply. No, that's what I'm looking for. Give me a second. So it says top 5 sources of U.S. total petroleum, including crude oil, imports share by total petroleum imports in 2020. So, top 5 sources of U.S. petroleum, 52% from Canada, 11 from Mexico, 7 from Russia, 7 from Saudi Arabia, 4 from Colombia. You trying to tell me my gas prices went up because 7% from Russia and 7% from Saudi Arabia? So my gas price got to jump up $1, huh? Okay. Top 5 sources for U.S. crude oil imports by share of total crude oil imports in 2020. 61% from Canada, 11 from Mexico, 8 from Saudi Arabia, 4 from Colombia, none from Russia. 3% from Iraq, who we have control over. 4% from Colombia, who we have control over. 8% from Saudi Arabia, who we're allied with. In Mexico, we're partnered with them through NAFTA. I don't know exactly how that works, but we're kind of on the same page. But the new president isn't really fond of the last couple of presidents here. Huh. Interesting. But didn't Obama knock the... Correct me if I'm wrong. But, what did Obama say? Huh. Oh, no, we ain't watching this. We ain't watching Sam Cedar. It's crazy how that got... Oh, did they? Oh, look at this. Washington Post took it down. Daily Wire. Hold on. Here we go.
Because I was extraordinarily proud of the Paris Accords. Because, look, I know, I know we're an oil country, and we need American energy, and by the way, American energy production. You wouldn't always know it, but it went up every year I was president. And that whole suddenly America's like the biggest oil producer and the biggest that was me, people. I just want you to so it's a little like sometimes you go to Wall Street and folks will be grumbling about anti-business. I said, have you checked where your stocks were when I came in office and where they are?
Yeah, I had. So America is actually the world's largest oil producer. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Because of fracking, we have a crazy amount of refineries. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, the former president of the United States, is bragging about his direct contributions to America being the largest oil producer, which probably partially led to the extremely low gas prices under the Obama administration. Probably, yeah, you think? Which also probably means the president has the ability, I know this for a fact, so presidents can prevent price gouging, and by the way, I know that's possible because Biden actually said in that CNN article, the administration has already taken some small steps to control gas prices, including the Federal Trade Commission saying it would investigate potential price gouging. So in other words, you have control of the pricing mechanisms and the world's largest producer of oil. Mind you, one of the reasons that Biden does not want to stop fracking is because of the oil that we get from fracking to allow us to maintain our position of dominance there. So someone want to explain to me one more again why Biden is blaming OPEC and Russia? That doesn't, I don't get it. That doesn't jive well with me, people. Is my math not mathing? Am I wrong? Am I off base here? So now, although everybody can't necessarily articulate this, of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that people don't know what's up, right? I think that even though they may not be able to articulate, the average person may not be able to articulate exactly why they know the president has something to do with this. Like it's like you could see with some administrations, the moment they come in power, all of a sudden the prices go down, or some administrations the prices go up. They know, like, they're not idiots. They're like, bro, you're not going to tell me to ignore every pattern that I've ever seen throughout history. Now you can argue the reasons for that, but like you just can't ignore it. But this is why. Because the president, especially in times of emergencies, can control oil prices, can incentivize and disincentivize companies from price gouging. And in a time where we're returning back to the economy, where driving is preferred because like people are trying to avoid public transportation because of COVID. People are getting back to school, working 2 jobs, 3 jobs in some cases, trying to get back to to what we believe is the norm. You are allowing gas prices, you have allowed gas prices to raise to historic levels, and you're blaming OPEC and Russia despite your president, the presidency and the administration that you are the VP of, admitting that we're actually, not even a year ago, or I guess a year and a half ago now, that we're actually the world's largest producer of oil in the world. Wasn't it him who said you can't keep blaming Obama for everything? You can't keep, when he was debating Trump, he said you can't keep blaming X, Y, and Z for everything. Why are you blaming Russia and OPEC, people, when you have control over that shit right now? Exactly. Let's continue. That's just like a simple example. Foreign policy. Let's talk about it. How do y'all think he did in Afghanistan? I don't know. I would call leaving $18 billion worth of weapons in the hands of terrorists. Feel like I would rate that an F- or an incomplete even. Didn't complete the assignment. I mean, you're leaving facial recognition software, like Apache helicopters. By the way, Apache helicopters that you still gotta wonder, how the hell did these people learn how to fly Apache helicopters when that's like a 3 to 6 month I mean, just to learn how to fly. Like, that's not even operating it to its full capacity. But somehow they managed to learn how to use these Apache helicopters in a week's time after getting them left by the U.S. They knew where all our bases were. It's almost like they were aware of our evacuation schedule. It's almost like they were aware of it. But nonetheless, like, the good part is, I guess, that you left from Afghanistan. The bad part is that you did it in the most abysmal way possible, to the point where you don't even want to brag about leaving Afghanistan anymore, because you were worried that everybody else remembers just how abysmal your removal of the troops were. It could have been done the right way. There were several strategies presented to Joe Biden to make sure that there were as few casualties as humanly possible. Instead, you cost the life of both innocent Afghanis and innocent Americans. People who were just there doing contracting jobs, supply jobs. Cost the lives of soldiers, young guys, probably there from your fucking poverty draft. And then you just have to wonder once again, because Biden was one of the architects of the Afghanistan war and the war in Iraq. You have to wonder, ladies and gentlemen, what were we there for again? Now, once again, I know they say Osama bin Laden, but he was in Pakistan. Pakistan was never brought up during that hunt until he was caught there. Okay. So, what were we there for this whole time? Why did millions of people die for Osama? Like, millions of Afghan people were, like, millions, bro, millions. They were killed. You know that the free Afghan army that we train in the United States killed more innocent civilians than the goddamn terrorists did, bro. Did y'all know that? So you entered into Afghanistan in a blundersome fashion. You left Afghanistan in a blunder. People die because of it, and that might be the only country that you've left from. And once again, they have private companies manning the fort there, so we haven't even really left there. Like, have we left Iraq yet? Even though Iraqi people voted us out, even after America illegitimately assassinated Soleimani on foreign soil, violating international law. Nope, haven't left Afghanistan. Hasn't announced any intention, or excuse me, Iraq. They haven't announced any intentions on leaving Iraq. Okay. Africa. What about Africa? Right. We know how horrible the Obama administration was on Africa. By the way, Biden being one of the leads in traditional VP fashion, one of the leads on foreign policy, if not the lead on foreign policy, much like Dick Cheney was, which is why they put Biden with Obama. Y'all remember the Libya? Yeah, there's still open market slavery in Libya after the wrongful assassination of Muammar Gaddafi. The propping up of a dictator in Chad and then putting him in the ICC. By the way, if you're curious about the International Criminal Court, ironically enough, it looks a lot like the U.S. justice system. If you go there, the only people who get prosecuted for war crimes are black, like Africans, and then Latinos, like usually from an indigenous background. And unfortunately, usually it's a lot of people that America put in power. Then we don't want them to talk after we've had our, we put them in power to probably achieve some regime change goal. They help us achieve the goal. Then we have them arrested so they can't talk. Yeah. So it looks a lot like like America's justice system, ironically enough. So fast forward, July of 2021? The U.S. military carries out airstrikes in Somalia under Biden. The United States on Tuesday carried out an airstrike against Shabab militants in Somalia, the first strike in the country since Biden became president. Allegedly, Al-Qaeda-linked insurgent group Al-Shabaab is seeking to topple the government and establish its own rule in Somalia based on its strict interpretation of Islamic Sharia law. Boy, if they ain't the cow calling the pig fat. While the United States has frequently carried out airstrikes against in Somalia against Al-Shabaab, this was the first since January 20th when Biden took office. So in other words, on day one, Joe Biden was striking Somalia. And by the way, they took innocent lives that day. Which probably should go without being said, but yeah, they didn't even really hit their target apparently. They don't know if they hit the target. I remember the next day they came out and were like, we don't have, can you confirm? Nope, can't really. We know that's some. Sorry, I saw some pretty bad news. Give me a second, people. I need to respond to this. Sorry, somebody, a journalist's grandmother just died. I just went through that last year. Y'all know that, so I had to respond to that real quick so I didn't forget. Anyway, so basically, Joe Biden's foreign policy has been trashed in Africa. That's just like one example, by the way. I don't want to get into the rest of it. But it's been trashed in Africa. Okay, it's been trashed in the Middle East. Well, let's go ahead and look at the Eastern Bloc. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. is trying to ramp up. They're trying to ramp up tensions with Russia and the Ukraine. They're claiming that Russia is illegitimately putting troops on its border to escalate tensions between itself and the Ukraine, preparing for an invasion there. However, that's actually not the case, because it was actually basically the neo-Nazi side of the Ukraine. I want to say it's West Ukraine. I can't remember which side. It's either East or West Ukraine. The side of Ukraine that doesn't like Russia and loves neo-Nazis, and the part that the United States gives weapons to. Why? I'm getting phone calls. What's up? Hello? This is Niko. Yeah? Yes. No, nobody told me that. If they told me that y'all did take TRICARE, that's why. Yeah, my doctor told me I did take TRICARE. So should we find somebody else? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. I appreciate the update. Mm, no, not that I know of. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's no problem. All right. Thank you very much. It's okay. Yep, healthcare, guys. Healthcare. I was supposed to get an MRI on my shoulder, and now, now you see why I'm so upset about this. 44% of people approve of Biden's healthcare. Yeah, I was recommended to go to one place for an MRI. They're like, oh, 2 weeks later, the day before my appointment. Sorry, we actually don't take TRICARE. We don't know how no one told you this. Our bad. We know your life has been put on pause. I can't even work out like I normally work out because of my shoulder. It's gotten that bad. Because cops beat the hell out of me and dislocated post surgery. I had another surgery before and tore my rotator cuff. Yeah. And then kidnapped me in the hospital. That's a different conversation for a different day. And so now I have to figure out. This is literally, I have TRICARE. I have one of the best health insurances in the country. And I still have to deal with this shit. Yeah. So, gotta love it. Anyway, the United States is trying to escalate tension with Russia to the point where now Russia is openly threatening the U.S., saying probably wouldn't be a good idea to put boats on the Black Sea because it's gonna get on and popping if they do. South America still trying to recognize Juan Guaido as the president of. I mean, even Juan Guaido's own party wouldn't recognize him as the president in Venezuela. By the way, just to let you guys know. They haven't, to my understanding, tried to intervene with Bolivia again, at least so far. Let me think. Hold on. I think they tried to do something in Honduras, but didn't work out. Tried to do something in Nicaragua, didn't work out. Tried to do something in El Salvador, didn't work out. The U.S. is actually getting really bad at regime change. They really are. So I guess that's like one positive, is that he's really bad at trying to be bad. So I would give Biden a 0 for foreign policy. He's effectively been, the Yemen. Oh my God, it's gotten exponentially worse in Yemen with no signs of ending. Refusal to even entertain legislation to end that war, or at least to end the funding of that war. And he's still carrying out, and he still has America being Israel's bitch. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and give him a 0 on that. The supply chain issue? So, somebody want to explain something to me, bro? I need to understand this. Somebody want to explain to me how when no one was working, only really essential workers, but everybody was online shopping, people were still running their businesses, still running their warehouses. Please explain to me how there wasn't a supply chain issue, except for with toilet paper apparently. But other than that, how was there no supply chain issue during the height of the pandemic? But everybody goes back to work. Everybody starts spending money again. Everybody starts traveling again. Most of the workers come back. And I don't want to hear that, well, sometimes people miss work because of COVID. Yeah, that was happening at the height of the pandemic, and you still weren't having the supply chain issues you're having right now. Someone want to square that circle for me? Why the hell do we have supply chain issues when all the suppliers and the buyers are more active than ever? You want to hear my theory? Do you want to hear my theory, guys? My theory is that In fact, the supply chain issue is totally manufactured, for the same reasons as the gas prices not being dealt with. The 1%, the 0.1% of 1%, they want small businesses out of the picture, and they spent a considerable amount of effort and a considerable amount of money influencing politicians to allow small businesses to die in silence. Okay? Now, the economy returned back to normal a little quicker than what some elite and some corporations would have liked, because the biggest corporations, of course, got to take advantage of an online boom by being able to supply goods that other people couldn't supply in a time other people couldn't supply them in, because of how big they are versus how small businesses are. So the economy went back to normal. So how do you make it so that you can take out the rest of your competition, or a good amount of them, so that they can't benefit from what people thought would be an impending business boom? You cut off their supply. I can have the money to purchase goods if the goods aren't getting here in time, and doing so consistently. Well, then less and less people will stop consistently shopping with you. Eventually, the lease is due. 1 month you can't afford it. Maybe the next month you can, but then because you're paying back pay, or you're trying to come out of debt accrued from the month before when you weren't getting your supply in, and therefore people weren't buying. Now you're late the next 2 months, and you're trying to play catch up, but now you can't afford to buy your product that you would have normally been able to purchase, and now people have just stopped coming for the most part altogether. I know especially if you live in big cities or metropolitan areas, I know a lot of you have seen how many people have either had supply chain issues and are struggling and look like they're going to be closing soon, or they are closed now, or they've changed their business model entirely. Like we have a lot of restaurant convenience stores in Miami. A lot of people have had to stop doing the convenience store part because products have gotten too expensive. The supply was too inconsistent. It was too expensive to maintain, with the simultaneous rising prices for renting a property and for property taxes. Property taxes have gone up. It's become almost impossible to start an in-person business that isn't based in food, and even that now, right? The supply chain issue is manufactured. I'm willing to bet my life on it. It just doesn't make any sense. Based on just pure logic, it doesn't make, and no one can really explain to you. No one can really explain to you like why the issue is happening. Think about it. What explanation? And I'm really curious if anybody has an explanation that they can remember as to why the supply chain issue has been so persistent. I would love to hear it. But I don't. Maybe on Facebook. I'm gonna go to Facebook. Maybe they got something. Nope, but then somebody can't buy anything on Facebook. So no, not on Facebook either. Oh, sorry, Facebook people. For some reason, the wrong title is up there. But nope, not on Facebook either. Anybody? Rokfin? Where my Rokfin crew at? I'm genuinely curious as to what explanations you guys have seen for the supply chain issue, because I haven't really been given. And somehow, in the middle of the supply chain issue, the guy who was in charge of dealing with the supply chain issue, Mayor Pete, or Mayo Pete, as we've affectionately referred to him as on the show, That man just went on paternity leave. Boy, did you just say paternity leave? Now, y'all know I'm about as open-minded as they come. You know I am. Okay? And I'm really happy for Mayor. I'm sad for the child, I guess, but I'm happy that Mayor Pete and his husband were able to have a kid, be a surrogate mother. But maybe, just maybe, don't plan for your surrogate mother to have your child in the middle of a supply chain issue that is strictly yours to fix. It is literally the job you are fucking appointed for. And you're like, I'm gonna take some paternal leave. Man, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all got to just take paternal leave like that? Wouldn't that be great? It's wild to me that in the middle of this atrocious issue, like this is atrocious. The way it's being handled has been atrocious. And then the Biden administration like, yeah, man, let's go ahead, bro. Take some paternal leave. You got this, bro. But we'll tell you to go back to work if you want to get paid. You think that Pete's taking a pay cut for taking off in the middle of an issue that is his to solve, bro? So, not only does it look like, what? Oh, don't forget letting tens of millions of people go homeless. Over what, like 11, 12 million people, something like that. It's probably gone up since then. I just know that because he never pushed Congress to pass legislation to extend the moratorium, more people went homeless in October and November than at any other point in the history of the United States of America. And it was completely in his control. Then Nancy Pelosi was like, it's so cruel that the Supreme Court killed our moratorium. The Supreme Court was like, no, we're not necessarily killing it. We're just telling you that y'all have to pass it. Yeah, it's so cruel that the Supreme Court killed that moratorium. No. You can pass it right now. Y'all have the House and the Senate. It is just so cruel. It's so cruel. You know what? Whatever. Biden had the power, did nothing about it. He had the power to encourage Congress. Oh, remember, was it $2,000? 2,000? I think it's 2,000 to 2,400. I'm pretty sure it's 2,000. If you elect whoever my favorite Democrat is in Georgia at the time, whoever they want, I don't remember to do his name. If you elect him, if you vote for him, if he gets in power, if he wins the Senate race, we'll give you $2,000. And then it turned out they only gave 600 instead, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Matter of fact, let's find out. We can figure it out pretty quickly. Yeah, 2,000. Yep. I was right. $2,000. 2,000. And he gave us like what, maybe 600? And his excuse was what exactly? Oh, we meant the 600 plus the 1,400, and the 1,400 you were already given by Trump. Bruh. So like, after saying that Trump wasn't doing anything whatsoever, he was doing a bad job, he wasn't giving Americans enough, you literally gave us less than Trump, and like after promising us more than Trump. And to be fair to Trump in this particular case, he told us, he's like, he's not gonna give you more than I did. And Trump should have given more. Make no mistake about that part. He should have pushed his, to be fair to him again, he was like, bro, I put the legislation on he said, put $2,400 on my desk right now. I will sign it, Nancy. Right now, nothing else on the bill. And she refused to. So in his defense, he did try. Biden lied, said he would do 2,000. Instead, they gave us 600. And that didn't even go to everybody. Less people got that than the 1,400 they were given by Trump. Ruben Massagua, thank you for the tip. I saw in 60 Minutes that some states have a driver shortage, and that's the reason for the supply shortage. Okay, so they have a driver shortage, but they had all the drivers they needed during the pandemic. Yeah, I find it really difficult to believe that after unemployment runs out, now they have a driver shortage. That sounds ridiculous. Oh, thank you, Rocky. He said, so excuse me, it was Trump who gave 600 and then Biden gave 1,400 instead. But that was based off, I think that was income based too. But Biden gave 1,400 instead. So my apologies, I flipped them. But to be fair, it's the 600 he gave us plus literally all the other money that he was partially responsible for signing over to. Right? Should have been more. Don't get it twisted. But have you gotten another check since that $1,400 paycheck? Just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity. Did he freeze and forgive rent and mortgages for that year? Nope, it did not. Speaking of which, how did he handle the pandemic, people? I really don't care what side of the pandemic argument you are. I know some people are anti-mandate. Some people don't like the vaccines. Some people have certain preferences for vaccines. Some people like they are okay with the vaccinations, but they're not okay with the mandates. Some people wanted to go back to work. Some people don't want to go back to work. Some people want their kids in school. Some people don't want their kids in school. I get all of it. I truly do. Right? I get it. Everybody has very specific preferences for their situations, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with them. Okay? With that being said, I think literally everybody would agree whatever shit that he was supposed to be handling is not being handled right. Because when you still have supply chain issues, when you still have rising gas prices, when people don't know whether you're Alpha, Beta, Delta, or Marion, when you got people like Fauci saying one thing, Biden himself, Biden's like, wear a mask. Then he came out and said, don't wear a mask if you're vaccinated. He said, wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Then he said, don't wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Then he said, wear a mask sometimes in public places if the square root of 5 is 2 and your dog likes your cat. E-I-E-I-O. Like, what? You have no accountability for Fauci being consistently wrong. Regardless of how, it doesn't matter if you agreed with him at any point or disagreed with him at any point. He has to be wrong because he changes his mind every 2 weeks. Has to be wrong. Like, necessarily so. Everything he says can't be right when he's constantly contradicting himself. And no one is being held accountable. When you're preventing certain therapeutic medicine from being distributed and doing nothing to incentivize the prevention of COVID, that I would consider a cataclysmic failure, costing people their lives. When you are attempting to mandate teachers, nurses, and doctors, and anyone else working in an economy that definitely needs everybody working that can to maintain this crumbling middle class that we have. Like when you're trying to, luckily the Supreme Court killed that shit. Except for the nurses, unfortunately, or healthcare workers. But they're still battling too. They've gotten small victories here and there, but it keeps getting kind of weird for them. But you're trying to mandate people to take a jab, right? A jab for the Alpha and Beta variant. And we're currently on an Omicron. So in other words, you're trying to mandate them to take a jab to go to work that isn't even for the current variant mainly affecting people. What the hell, bro? What are you doing? You're like mandating people wear a mask when on the package of the mask, most of the masks, unless they're N95 masks, most of the masks on the package, they say, yeah, this ain't gonna prevent no type of transmission or nothing, homie. Not like if you believe firmly that N95 masks can help prevent this pandemic from becoming more serious, then why didn't you mandate that hey, we're mailing out 5 to people's homes every single week? Regardless of what side of the pandemic debate you might fall on any given issue, I think that we can all agree that he's done either nothing or made things worse. Whether it be for your health, for your bank account, or for health care. Whether it be for preventative maintenance or reacting to getting COVID. Whether it be in your workplace or in your home. Or in your city or your state. He has made things worse. Not better. I mean, I think most people agree with that. And I'm not here, we're not judging nobody, not today. Not today. That's for a different stream on Rokfin at some point. We're not judging anybody for what they believe regarding any type of jab mandate or jabs in general. That's not what we're here for. What I am telling you is if you can tell me one thing you agree that Biden has done regarding this pandemic, that he didn't change his, if he did do it, like did he change his mind a week later? Because then we're not counting that. And there's a likelihood that if he did say that he was going to do something, he probably changed his mind a week later. The most important thing that he could have done was lift people out of poverty, because we all know that with poverty comes increased likelihood of contracting viral diseases. Maybe he could have shut down these labs where these variants and these bioweapons are being created. He could have did that. No talk of that though, huh? Literally, did he hold anybody accountable? Somebody brought up on Twitter inflation. How's that looking for everybody? Your money, like, you know, people's savings accounts are worth like nothing now, apparently. Like, effectively, they're worth like nothing. But here we are, people. Here we are. So I would rate 1 year of Biden's administration as a fucking dumpster fire. F-. No, actually, that's giving him too much. Incomplete. You didn't even try to complete the task. You're not even pretending to be a good president. And I'm gonna give you 2 incompletes just because Kamala Harris hasn't been fired yet. Okay? You couldn't even get your Build Back Better. Build Back Better is a horrible bill. The good things that were in it that could have made you look at least decent, you allowed to be stripped out from your own people without saying anything to them. Like, bro. Voting rights, you full of shit, bro. You don't want no voting rights, man. Come on. That voting rights bill makes it way harder for third parties, way more difficult for third parties to be relevant than it already is. That's just one problem with it. But hey, let him tell it. He just gonna keep telling you we're the legitimate. Oh man, don't get me started. Domestic terrorist legislation. That boy just started a whole domestic terrorism unit to hunt down Americans based on propaganda and lies. Because what it really is about is silence and dissent. At the end of the day. Here we are, people. 1 year later. And I would make the argument, and it would be willing to debate anybody on it. Biden, in 1 year, has already been worse than Trump. But the amount of coverage that he gets from the mainstream media as far as the horrid nature that he's governed this country has been a fraction of the negative coverage that Trump got. I have no problem with negatively covering politicians. Trust me, I have zero problem with that. But my problem becomes, if the coverage is dishonest, then keep that shit from around me. I don't want just negative coverage for the sake of negative coverage that would push an agenda for any particular party. That I don't like. I like accountability. There's a difference. But also make sure you're covering the other politicians just as consistently. Biden has been given a pass. And it's wild, right? Because despite the pass at CNN, MSNBC, almost every major publication, almost all these blue checks and these latte liberals, they've given him so much cover. Despite all of that, bro, you still got a shit approval rating, bruh. How you got a shit approval rating when everyone is working so hard to make sure you look like a good president? You want to square that circle? Because the math ain't mathing. The math is not mathing. Could you imagine, if Trump was in power and he got a fraction of the good coverage that Biden has been getting for the entire year? If he got a fraction of that good coverage from these, I'm not saying pretend like bad things are good. Like what he did in North Korea, for example, that's a great thing. His attempt to pull the CIA out of Syria, great thing. Calling out John Bolton, saying that he wanted to use the Iran model in Venezuela, good thing. If he got that, man, even if Biden did cheat, wouldn't have been able to beat Trump if he got a fraction of that positive coverage. So my point in bringing that up is to tell you that they're trying to make sure Biden can't be beat. They're trying to anyway. Because like I've said, as many complaints as I had about the Trump administration, about Trump's constant capitulation to the neoconservative establishment, the people who are really in charge said, yeah, we know Trump is bad, but he ain't bad enough for us. We need more consistent capitulation, more consistent imperialism. We need competent imperialism. I know it seems like an oxymoron, competence and Joe Biden, but he is a competent imperialist. He knows when to sit back and shut the hell up and let them do their thing. They said we need more saber rattling. We need more drone strikes. We need more coup attempts. We need more money for the elite, the 1%. We need the denial of more opportunity to the working class. That's what they said. That Trump wasn't bad enough. And that's truly terrifying. And I can see why they felt that way, because Joe Biden really did manage to show us, yeah, you think this is bad? It can get worse. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, it's I live in South Florida, so I know we in a fantasy world. But I know for the rest of the country, it isn't really as pretty. And right now, we are living in worse. And it's only going to get better when people wake up to that. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Make sure you check out my last segment with Pasta that we did this morning. It is on Rokfin and Rokfin only, because it's a lot of COVID talk. We talked about an MIT educated doctor being suspended from her license for giving out ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, which is insane. Amongst the Omicron variant and its origins. Yeah, we also talked about that. And I'm telling you, it ain't come from where you thought it might have come from. Yeah. So, check that out. Tomorrow, I'll be interviewing Franco from Frank Analysis on his brilliant article about why 7 reasons to object the mandates. That's going to be, Franco's brilliant, and his article so well written. Proud of the guy. We will also be having Rachel Belvins from RT on to do a deep dive into the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And I think we might have R.A. the Rugged Man on tomorrow. I can't remember if it's going to be tomorrow. I have to check my DMs, but it might be either tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be on Friday. So we got a great lineup for you guys over the next few days. Really excited about it. Anyway, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share this video. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our Telegram channel if you want to keep up with all content updates and engage in some pretty cool conversation. Let me get that link up for you. We have 200 people subscribe to our Telegram channel, by the way. That's dope as hell. Boom. I posted it in the YouTube chat. It's also in the description for YouTube. And I think I got another tip to read before I get up out of here. I just posted the link in Rokfin also. Rocky D. 0 for Biden. Domestic terrorism legislation. PSYOP of January 6th. BS Dem establishment push. More censorship. Yeah, can't forget the more censorship part. Lying about early treatment drugs. People's livelihoods destroyed due to authoritarian mandates. COVID disinformation. Demonetization of citizens. Increased divisiveness. Cynical use of identity politics. Stupid. Dangerous foreign policy. Double down on Assange. Facts. Can't forget that. Cost of living skyrocketing. Yeah. Can't really disagree with that, man. Thanks for the tip. Appreciate you. All right. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, like this video. Share this video. Leave a comment below. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.